Good evening, everyone. I think we'll go ahead and get started. We're really excited to see you all here at our first information meeting for this academic year. My name is Karen Maynard, and I am the Director of Student Services here. And we have pretty much all of our full-time faculty are sitting along there, and they're going to come up and introduce themselves. We'll have time for questions at the end, so if there's anything that's not covered, just kind of make a note, and we'll have questions in a group format, and then you can also come and speak to any of us individually. And I'll direct you to people who would be the best person to speak to about different types of things, okay? So just a brief overview of what we are going to cover tonight. We'll have introductions of everybody that works in our program, and then we'll talk about what you can do with an MSW degree. Some of you probably know that, and you know that's why you want to come back to school and get one. And others of you may be just kind of thinking about social work, and you're not quite sure what you can do with it. So we hope tonight to educate you a little bit about all the opportunities that come along with a social work degree. We'll talk about our 2 program concentrations or specializations, and we'll talk about the different cohort models that we have, full-time, part-time, and advanced standing. We'll also talk about the field internships because that's a really important piece of the social work degree. And we will also talk about how you go about applying if you're interested in doing that. And then a little bit of information about financial aid. We have some great scholarship and stipend programs that we'll talk to you about. And then right at the end, we have a couple of our alum and a current student coming just to talk about what it's like from their perspective being a student. And they'll be able to answer questions at the end too. So right now, we are going to just kind of briefly introduce ourselves to you. And so if I could have all the faculty kind of stand up, and we're going to just kind of rotate around here. I'll go ahead first. My name is Karen Maynard, Director of Student Services, and I've worked here about 20 years, and I oversee the admissions process. I do academic advising and anything under student services. And I also teach organizational behavior and management.
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Jennifer Shepard-Payne, and I teach a couple of classes here. First of all, I teach intervention and evaluation, and so all students take that course, and you'll learn about the evidence-based practices that are out there in that particular class. And then I also teach for the clinical concentration. I teach an advanced practice course. For those who are clinical, you're going to learn the DSM back and forth in that particular class. So, if you're interested, I also do research. And so my research is at www.urbanpastorsproject.com.
Hi everyone, my name is Freylanda Heredia-Miller. I am the Director of Field Education here at APU. My practice emphasis is in trauma and mental health. I've been here at APU now, this is my 2nd year, but I've been in teaching and field directing in the Masters of Social Work program for 15 years.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jean Unn. I'm one of the field faculty here. I do everything that has to do with the field internships. And my specialty is cross-cultural clinical social work. And for any of you who are debating whether or not you want to change your careers into social work, please talk to me. I went through a career change from being an engineer to social work. And so I can share my process with you if you're ever interested. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Virginia Olivas. I am the UCCF Title IV-E coordinator, so I oversee a stipend, child welfare stipend program. I'm also field faculty, and I teach the class associated with that. And I'll be talking to you shortly about the stipend opportunities.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Donna Gallup. I believe I'm the newest full-time faculty here on staff. I just left a nonprofit executive career to come here to APU to champion and develop our next leaders in the community practice specialization. So I'm very excited. I hope some of you are interested in being the next social work leaders here or abroad, and happy to talk to you after this session.
I'm going to put the mic down. Hi, I'm Regina Chow Trammell, and I teach particularly in the clinical track concentration. Prior to coming to APU, this was about 6 years ago, I was at LCSW in private practice, and my research is based on mindfulness-based therapies.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shana Neshama Bannister, and I've been at APU at this MSW program for 8 years since the program started. And I teach 50-50 clinical and community classes, but my passion is in human rights, sustainable development, international social work. Those of you who have passion for international field, we have great opportunity. Kenya, South Africa, coming up in Thailand. Come talk to me.
Exciting, huh? Welcome tonight. I'm Adrienne Navarro, and I teach the research class here in our MSW program, as well as a course called Organizing for Community Change. So working in sort of a macro aspect as well. My research has included work with vulnerable older adults. I taught down the road. I worked as a clinical social worker at Huntington Hospital for many years. So welcome again, and we look forward to learning more about you.
Hello, welcome. My name is Olivia Sevilla, and I am here probably 10 years, in my 10th year. I teach the practice classes, that's for the beginning practitioner skills, also the advanced practice skill classes. I teach the capstone course, coordinating the capstone courses, which is the final project that you do before you leave your program. And I would say, along with what Donna said, I've also been the director of a nonprofit organization. So what drew me to social work was that clinical aspect, but I really like administration. So if any of you are interested in how you blend the two or you make that balance, see me. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Dr. Mary Rawlings, and I am the chair of the Department of Social Work, which means I oversee both our BSW program and our MSW program. I've been at the university for about 20 years as well, practiced prior to that in community mental health. I absolutely love developing competent social workers, and my research area and something we do at our university is we use live actresses or actors to portray clients to help you really develop your clinical training, and we're really experimenting with sort of pushing you forward and really getting solid clinical skills. I do have to give a shout out as the chair to the amazing faculty that is in this department. They ran through their vitas. Please go online and look at the amazing work that they do. They have such a rich depth of practice experience that they just could not do it justice. So I want to welcome you to our campus and hope you enjoy the evening.
Hi, my name is William. I'm from Graduate Admissions, and I'll be the one assisting you through the paperwork process of the references and application process as you guys begin applying for the program early next year. So look forward to speaking with you soon. And I'll be available after for questions as well.
All right, good evening. I'm Kim Setterland, the director of the MSW program, and want to just extend another warm welcome to you from APU, from the faculty and staff. We're happy that you're here. We know that some of you fought long and hard on the freeways to get here, so we're glad you're here safe and sound. We know that some others may be coming in as well. They might be stuck in traffic. So you're all here because you're interested in becoming a social worker, an MSW social worker. So we're going to give you some information to think about, and like the faculty said, we will all be available afterwards to field any questions that you may have as well. Okay. All right, so what can you do with an MSW degree? How many of you have already researched that? Yeah, okay, all right. So you already have sort of an idea, right? Which is what brought you here. Oh, incidentally, some of our lovely graduates from a few years ago. All right, well, here are some settings in which social workers practice. So some of this should look familiar to you. So you'll see that there are clinic-based settings and then macro-based settings as well. So from integrated behavioral health, schools, higher education institutions, counseling centers, child welfare agencies, adoption foster care, hospital health care, military veteran services, international service organizations, forensics, probation, parole, faith-based nonprofits, substance abuse, recovery, addiction agencies, older adult services, political advocacy, legislative offices, and housing services. So as you can see, social work is pretty diverse, right? And we practice in so many different types of settings. Hopefully, this kind of captures some of your interests. All right. At APU, we have 2 specializations, and those are community leadership and program administration. We also call that macro for short. And that specialization is for you if you are interested in the broader advocacy, broader ways to affect change. So some keywords include community organization and outreach, program development and evaluation, program management, advocacy, grant writing, fundraising, international social work. So does that kind of appeal to some of you? And okay. And then we have clinical practice with individuals and families, micro for short. And so some of the keywords may include mental health or behavioral health focus, working with individuals, families, and groups to do counseling, case management, and affecting change on a more micro level, okay? Regardless, social work is about both, right? We don't operate macro or micro. We operate with both micro and macro and the way they play together. All right. Okay. You all have this in front of you. And this is just a visual that we've provided so that you could kind of see where micro and macro converge. All right. In the middle is the green. Okay. These are the skills that every one of our students will be developing, gaining in their first year or years, also known as foundation or generalist practice skills. Okay, so if you're in the full-time program, that would be the first year. Part-time would be year 1 and year 2, okay? On the outer edges, okay, of this Venn diagram, you've got advanced leadership program, the macro on the orange, and then you have advanced clinical practice skills on the micro end, okay? So it kind of just gives you a visual snapshot of some of the skills that you will be developing while in the program, okay? So let me just throw a few out. So in the middle, every student here will learn how to conduct a biopsychosocial, cultural, spiritual assessment. Okay, advance human rights and social and economic justice on behalf of clients, and do initiate and sustain social change through social action. So regardless of what specialization you are admitted under, you will learn all that is in the green, okay? And then for those who are in the macro specialization, more of the focus will be on the orange, and more of the focus will be on the blue if you are in macro or clinical specialization. All right? I know it's a lot of words. It's a lot to kind of unpack. All right, so a little bit more about the required courses for community specialization or macro. All right, program planning and evaluation, organizational behavior and management or administration course, human rights and sustainable development policy, organizing for community change, research, and then you would have your field experience as well, where you are gaining experience in a supervised setting, and then capstone. For clinical specialization courses, these are the ones: child and adolescent behavioral health and diagnosis, adult behavioral health diagnosis, family therapy and context, social welfare policy and integrated healthcare, also a research course, and then your field in a clinical setting, and then capstone. In addition to your required courses, you're required to take 2 elective courses for a total of 60 units toward graduation, 36 units if you are in the advanced standing cohort. How many of you are here interested in advanced standing? All right, so, oh, good handful, okay. All right, so take a look at some of the elective courses. These are the courses that we offer based on interests, when we send out a periodic survey to our students, and these are the ones that the students say that they most, likely would like to take. Okay, so we've got marital therapy, domestic violence. We've got a clinical Spanish practice course that's conducted all in Spanish. This is for students who are fluent in Spanish, who seek to use their Spanish skills in professional practice. And then we have international social work policy and practice. Dr. Neshama had mentioned that earlier. We're really excited in that we're going into year 2 of the international social work course that leads to an international social work experience. This past year, Dr. Neshama took a team to Kenya, and 5 students, right? 5, yeah, and 6. This year, in summer of 2018, we will be taking 2 teams, one to Kenya and one to South Africa. So if you're interested in talking more about these opportunities, please see Dr. Neshama Bannister after the meeting. Other courses include addictions, human sexuality and sex therapy, military social work, fundraising, grant writing, and fiscal decision making. If you're thinking one day you'd like to run your own nonprofit, that is an essential class, right? And social work in correctional settings, housing, justice, social work, health and aging, social work in healthcare settings, and independent studies. All right. Okay. So I'm going to pass this over to Dr. Sevilla and Professor Gallup.
All right. Well, we wanted to give you an example of what it might feel like. So if you could step to the other mic, what it might look like for a social worker who's practicing at a clinical level, and a social worker who's practicing at a community level when we look at particular cases. So this is a family of 3 children, and let's say age 2, 10, and 13. And they're referred to a community-based mental health agency by the school district. And the 13-year-old son has exhibited behavioral problems in the classroom, and that's why they're referred. The mother appears depressed, however, and this is the first time the family has come to the agency. So what does it look like to approach this case from a clinical perspective? As a clinician, I would begin to look at this family in terms of the reasons they're telling me that they're coming in. But I would begin to explore with them and observe what their situation is, their environment. I'd be looking at the family as a whole system. I may select out those who are complaining of particular issues, and I may do a more thorough assessment of them. And the assessment process that I would be using would be a biopsychosocial, spiritual, cultural assessment. So I'd be interested in how they're doing health-wise. Some of the symptoms that they may be manifesting may be physical. And I may be looking at some their experience with counseling. Have they been to counseling before? What was that experience like? I'd be making observations of each of them in the session. But I'm looking at, if I'm in a mental health clinic, my goal is to help them express their concerns, help them express what their goal is, what they would like to accomplish with counseling. Then I'd work with them to approach a treatment plan, and we'd work together to accomplish the goals. Now, in a mental health clinic, of course, I'm more than likely going to be diagnosing somebody, okay? So that's where the DSM, you heard those initials, before. DSM is a Diagnostic and Statistical Manual, but it's basically a tool that we use to help us determine what next steps we need to take, what we're dealing with in terms of a mental illness, if there is any mental illness going on. So from a clinical perspective, this is what a clinician would look at, using the skills that we learn in social work school to engage and to be culturally appropriate with the clients if they're needing services beyond what I can offer, to link them to other services. And then I'll turn it over to you.
So while Dr. Sevilla is talking to the family, I'm in the back saying, so how come this program has not identified that this family, the system has not identified that this family needed all of these various help components? Why is it that this is the first time we're seeing them? Do we need partnerships? Do we have the services to adequately meet those needs? Are we missing programs? How do we develop programs that are culturally competent to ensure that they get what they need? From the bigger picture, what are the larger community issues that might have resulted or supported the issues that the family is struggling with right now? And how, as a community, can we do a better job to help them earlier in the process so that they don't have all of these complex issues that are being now seen for the system for the first time? There's a lot of thought that goes into program planning, evaluation, working with partners, advocacy for those that come to us. Perhaps the reason is that there is a gap in the system that we're identifying that, as social worker leaders, we want to go out and advocate for that gap to be closed, whether it's a system gap just in terms of the way that we work together, or whether or not it's a resource gap that we don't have enough funding or enough programs to address the issues. So for me, we're in the back and making sure that all of the services are not only accessible to this family, but to other families who may not have even come into the mental health center. In this example, there are probably families out there who have similar situations that we haven't even reached out to yet. And what are we doing about that as social workers, as a community?
And I think a clinician's job is obviously to support the clients that they're working with, but also to give feedback to the administration on what supports they can help us with as clinicians.
And we're always trying to figure out, how do we have the resources to do everything that Dr. Sevilla wants to do, and to be sure that there's money and there's grants and there's partner support and there's collaborations and the community supports what we're doing.
Yes.
So you can see how this works.
Yes.
Thank you both for giving us that illustration, and hopefully that kind of helped you also to kind of get a sense of what somebody would be focusing on the micro side of social work versus on the macro side of social work, and hopefully this kind of brought it alive for you. If macro, when Professor Gallup was talking about all of her concerns in the bigger picture, if that resonated with you, you know what? You might want to consider a micro specialization. If what Dr. Sevilla said resonated with you, you might be more clinically focused. So we really want to just kind of give you that little snapshot to get you thinking, what might I be interested in when I apply to the program? Okay. All right, let me move on to our faith integration component of our program. You all probably know that APU is a faith-based university, and we believe that this is a distinction that I think serves us well in the social work program. And we are a Christian institution, okay? However, Christian faith is not an expectation for application into the program. Where I believe this is a distinction is that the issues of faith and spirituality are invited in our classroom discussions, okay? Our professors may bring in content from a Christian worldview, okay, and challenge students to critically examine, if a Christian worldview perspective aligns well with the social work perspective in the help of your client or client systems. Okay, so while our students come in with a diversity of spiritual beliefs and faiths, what happens is our students come in and are invited to have a discussion from their own faith perspectives. How can your faith help or hinder the helping process with your clients? And I'll tell you, I've heard so many times that students say that I am so glad to be able to talk about spirituality and faith. When I think about assessing my clients' needs, that's so much a part of our clients that by not discussing faith matters, we're kind of doing an incomplete assessment. So, yeah. So I really do find that that's a strength of our program. All right. But again, your faith and spirituality beliefs are not considered in the admissions process. And also we want to make that distinction about our MSW program. It is not a Christian counseling program. Okay. And some of you may be interested in a faith-based field placement, field internship. We do have some, okay? And if that is something that you're really interested in, after admission, the field faculty can talk to you about, what that might look like. Okay, but really our goal is to give you a well-rounded education, including faith and spiritual components. And one of the other I think supports for our grad students is that we have a graduate chaplain as well who meets with our students just once a semester for support. Okay. In terms of accreditation, if you're considering an MSW program, then you want a program that is fully accredited. And our program is accredited by the Council on Social Work Education, and we have been accredited since the beginning of our program. Both our MSW and BSW programs are accredited. That means that you are eligible to sit for licensure after graduation. That also means that your degree is good and makes you eligible for any MSW position across the country. I think that's another strength of our degree, that our standards are consistent across the nation, not just in California, not just in New York, not just in Indiana, but all around. For more information, you can look up CSWE for accreditation information. All right. I'm going to turn this over to Karen.
We have several different cohort options, and the first one is the full-time 2-year program. So it's a total of 60 units, and as you can see, you have classes all day Tuesday and Thursday. And then you also do 16 hours a week internships, so 2 8-hour days. And those internship days are Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So when you were referred to an agency, when you're accepted by an agency, you would discuss with them which 2 days you would be interning at. So it really is a full-time program, because in addition to 4 full days a week, you've got all your studying, your papers, for 5 classes. So it does not allow much time at all for working. Most of our full-time students do not work. Those that do, it's just very minimal hours. Maybe they have a weekend shift as a server, or some of them might be an ABA therapist and they just keep one client or something like that. But it really is an intense full-time program. We also have a part-time program, which is 4 years, and this is designed for people that are planning to work throughout. The majority of people in this program are working in the social work field, so they're able to keep building their social work skills while they're working on their MSW degree. The way this program works is you're here for 4 years, but the internships only take place in years 2 and 4. So in years 1 and 3, you have class every Tuesday night. In fact, your classes throughout the whole 4 years are on Tuesday night. So it's kind of nice. You can plan your life somewhat. It's not like an undergrad where you never know what night your class might be, So Tuesday night, you take 2 classes, and then you also have a class that meets approximately once a month on a Saturday, like most of the day Saturday. So that's the schedule for years 1 and 3. In years 2 and 4, you have class Tuesday night, nothing on Saturdays, and then you do your 2 days a week internship. Internships are always on weekdays, so you just have to make sure that your job gives you that flexibility that you can kind of change your hours and be available 2 days a week for internship in years 2 and 4. The first half of the program, you can see the whole cohort has their classes together, and then you break out into your specialization classes in year 3. Another option we have is advanced standing, and that is for people that have a bachelor's in social work from a CSWA accredited program. They also have to have at least a 3.0 GPA overall, and you have to have a B or higher in all your social work classes. Now, you can apply for advanced standing coming straight from your BSW program, or you can also go and work for a bit and then come back. So like this year, for example, we had several students that went and worked for a year in a social work field, built up their professional identity, grew a lot professionally, and then came back and then are doing their advanced standing program in a year, actually 10 months. So all the advanced standing students, whether they're in the 10-month program or the 2-year part-time advanced standing, come together in July, and there's 6 weeks of classes that meet 2 nights a week. So you can see here they're going to meet on Tuesday and Thursday night from 4:45 to 9:45. And there's a small online component too with each class. And so the advanced standing students do that, and then they go and they join in with the second year of the full-time program. So they're basically bypassing the first year because they've done those classes in their Bachelor's of Social Work program. And they've also had a foundation level internship there. So an advanced standing student would be in class, once they've done the summer classes, they would be in class all day Tuesday and Thursday, and they would be doing 20 hours a week internship as opposed to the regular program where they're doing 16. So because they're only doing 1 internship in the program, they have to do 20 hours a week. We also have an advanced standing part-time program. So this is great for people who want to be working, or maybe they graduated a while ago and they've got a job and, they don't have the luxury of just not working. They've got bills to pay, they've got families to support, but they want to get their MSW degree and take advantage of the fact that they have a BSW and they may qualify for the advanced standing. So they would do the summer bridge courses, like I just mentioned before, and then they would basically join in with the 3rd year of the part-time cohort. So they're bypassing years 1 and 2, and they're just doing years 3 and 4. So they would go straight into their either community practice or clinical practice classes. And they would not do an internship the first year, but they would do one the second year. So they'd have to be able to cut back on their work schedule because they're doing 20 hours of internship. So that's just an overview of the different cohorts that we have. And Fräulein now we'll talk about field internships.
Field is an awesome opportunity to take what you're learning in the classroom, take what you are learning from personal and professional experience, and being able to integrate it and being able to affect change and work with people while you are in school. It's an awesome part of what we do as social workers, because one of the best ways to learn in our helping profession is to learn by doing. So one of the things here in any MSW program, but here at APU, we love our field education department. We have some wonderful faculty and adjunct faculty that facilitate your seminar coursework. Students meet in the full-time, you meet first year field, you meet weekly, once a week for 2 hours, and then in the specialization year, you typically meet for a couple of hours on an every other week basis. But that's your opportunity to synthesize material, integrate material, and process and talk and support each other and challenge each other in your growth as a social worker. So in our field education program, all students are placed in the best quality field internship sites that we can possibly recruit and find. And so students are supervised face-to-face each week. 1 hour a week is the requirement. The field instructors that complete or that do the clinical supervision are certified field instructors. So that means that they've done 15 to 16 hours of field instructor training and have that commitment with the universities to meet some of our regulations and our standards when it comes to the quality of supervision. Also, we make sure that the internships and the field instructors are practicing, and they are currently, they know what's trending in the field. So when it comes to evidence-based practice, interventions, what the research shows, the latest and greatest in supplemental programs such as screening, intervention, and training, which you'll learn about SBIRT hopefully one day soon. So you begin to integrate the theoretical component, your book learning, and you get to work with real people, which is really cool. All right. And also, too, one of the best things about social work or field education is that we also socialize you into the field of social work. So you're not just learning how to do a particular task or learn a particular function at an agency site, but you're learning all around what it means to be a practitioner. And so that's one of the characteristics of a really good field program. So as you can see here, we do have a lot of students that come to us from a variety of different geographic locations. So one of the things that we work very hard at here at APU is that if you reside in a particular geographic area, let's say the IE, how many people do I have from the Inland Empire? Okay. So we do very well to try and match you close to home as much as we possibly can. How many people do I have from LA? Okay, and lucky you, because LA is so huge, right? So there are a number of different opportunities to place you within the counties where everyone lives. Students should expect about a 45-minute commute, and nowadays that's anywhere between 45 minutes to an hour, depending on traffic. And then also we do ask that you at least have reliable transportation to get to and from your field site. Now, you are not necessarily required to have a vehicle, but we need to ensure that you have reliable and safe transportation to and from. So your interest in social work comes at a wonderful time because we now have some very good statistics related to trends in the field and really the growth. And it's a challenge to all of the social work schools in terms of workforce development. So as you can see on this slide, there is a projection in these areas, overall a 9% growth in all areas for social work jobs. In particular, 15% growth for family, child, and school social workers, 23% growth for mental health and or substance abuse workers, and 27% growth in the demand for healthcare. And so I don't kid you when I say I got field internships for that. Here are some examples of some current internships that we would ideally identify for a first-year internship program. Domestic violence programs in which the student will have an opportunity to conduct case management services, facilitate or co-facilitate therapy groups, as well as opportunities to conduct outreach. So all of our students have a community project that they do in the first year of field. Also, we have school-based mental health programs. So again, you see opportunities for crisis intervention, case management, what we call, and also individual therapy for school-age children and sometimes families. In specialization year, for example, one of our highlights is our partnership with our county mental health departments, in which our students in the community concentration would be focusing on program evaluation, quality assurance, partnership and collaboration, program development, fundraising, data collection, as well as developing policies and procedures. For the clinical specialization, we're highlighting our state prison systems in which students get the opportunity to complete and conduct psychosocial assessments, providing mental health services, sometimes individual, sometimes group treatment, in a jail mental health setting, as well as participation in interdisciplinary team meetings. And sometimes there are programs that's called CONREP, or a conditional release program, in the state systems. And oftentimes students can be assigned to those conditional release programs in which you are assisting that person to reintegrate back into community. So there's lots of wonderful opportunities. These are not all of them, but we'll show you a sampling on the next slide. So a couple of frequently asked questions. Can you receive field credit for past experience or current work or other internships? And the answer to that is no. That is an accreditation standard. So the minimum 980 hours that a student will do in the course of their MSW career, we cannot take other experience to substitute for that. The field placement process. So with the field placement process, all of our students complete a field application. Students then meet with our field faculty and we sit down for a one-on-one interview, getting a sense of your learning style, your career trajectory, areas of expertise that you have, areas of practice that you want to continue to strengthen and enhance and develop. And so that the field placement process is very much a matching process. So we know the agencies, we know what they're looking for in a student, we know the opportunities that they have to offer, and then we do the best to match your personality, your desires, your strengths to give you the best experience possible. Internships on the weekends or after work. Our internships at this time are exclusively weekday. So we do ask that students make themselves available on the business days between 8 and 5 or 9 and 6, depending. There are a couple of exceptions to that rule when it relates to child welfare, but that's something that Professor Olivas will talk about when it's time to talk about child welfare. And then again, do I need a car? No, you do not need a car, but our policy does ask that you have reliable transportation. And then here, as you saw at the beginning of the presentation, again, a sampling of the categories of field internship. So as you can see, it is a wide range of practice: child welfare, behavioral health, older adults, faith-based nonprofits, co-occurring disorders, foster family and adoption agencies, working with transitional age youth, and of course, working with the military, working with vets and families, or even homeless vets. Okay. And I'll be around for questions after.
So William and I are going to just talk briefly about admissions, and then after, if you've got any particular questions about the actual paperwork, you'll be able to ask William. So I'm just going to go over a few slides here, and then if there's anything William think of that I forgot to mention, he'll be able to add that in. So APU likes to see an overall GPA of 3.0, and that is for regular admission. However, we can consider people that have between a 2.5 and a 2.99 GPA. If you're strong in other areas, you may still get in. So don't let that discourage you if you don't have a 3.0. You need to have an undergraduate degree from a regionally accredited college or university. So like all of the Cal States, the UCs, most of the private schools, most schools are regionally accredited. It's just some of the for-profits are not regionally accredited. So you need to just check that out if your school was. The only course requirement we have is statistics, and that is that you got a C or higher. If you have not taken one in your degree, you can go and take one at a junior college, or we can give you information on like an online program or something, but you can apply before you've got that, but you have to have passed it before you start the program. And in terms of experience, we like for you to have some kind of social work related experience. Sometimes people think, oh, I don't have social work experience. And then when I ask them, well, tell me about what you've done. And in our opinion, that would be social work related experience. But because they weren't actually an official social worker, but maybe they were doing clerical work in a social work organization. And so they got to learn about how an agency is run. Or maybe they were working in with at-risk youth in an after-school program, or Boys and Girls Club, or working with older adults, something like that. So you want to be sure when you're applying that you put down all of your experience that you have. We do not require the GRE. In terms of the application process, all of these documents that are listed here, they're all going to go to the grad center. So they kind of go via William and actually through our grad processing system. If you need to check if anything arrived, like let's say you had a reference, send it in directly, you could call William and he could look up in the system and tell you, yes, we did get that reference from, Professor Jones or whatever. And he'll be able to actually tell you about what things you could potentially email to him. But you can see here what you need. There are two different types of application forms. There's the APU graduate application form. You can complete that one online. Then there's also the MSW application form. That one you do have to print it out and complete it. There's a $45 application fee that is waived if you graduated from APU or if you are a veteran. There's a personal statement, and on the back of the MSW program, it tells you what we want you to write about in that statement. And that's how we really get to know you. So there's about five or six different things that you're asked to write about. So just be sure to follow that format. And then your resume, you've got 3 reference letters, and you need to use the MSW reference forms, not the general APU graduate reference forms. So these are all available on our website. And if you've taken stats already, you want to send in proof of statistics. And you can collect all your documents yourself, and then you can either mail them in to the grad center or you can hand deliver them if you like. Our grad center is down on Foothill, about, what would you say, half a mile down the road, something like that. And that's where William is located too. If you mail them in, I recommend you send it in a way where you're tracking it, because you've put a lot of effort into collecting these documents. And so I think it's just worth paying an extra few dollars just to send it in where you're tracking it. Admission deadlines. If you're applying for advanced standing, the deadline is January the 15th. If you are applying for the 2 or the full year regular programs, the early admission deadline is January the 15th, and the final deadline is March the 1st. What we do is we review all the applications that are in by January the 15th, and we process those first. If you are a very strong applicant, you may get an admit offer in the first round earlier on. So if you don't get one, then it doesn't mean to say you won't get in. We would hold your application and we consider it again with all the applications that are coming in up till March the 1st. But if you know you want to apply, I would recommend that you try and make the early admit deadline, because that way all the spots are still open at that time. Once we've given some away into early admit, there is less available spots as we go along. So the process is that you turn everything into the grad center. They kind of log in the system, and when your application is complete, then it gets sent to us. So if you're missing a reference, for example, or one of your application forms, it will not come to us. So William will periodically check and see like, oh, Juan here is missing a reference form. And if he identifies that, he'll give you a call and let you know, because you might not know you're missing one, But you can also check the status with him. And then your application is reviewed by the MSW Admissions Committee. Applications that we move forward, the next step is then to come in for an interview. If somebody lives far away, then we do the interview by Skype. And then we do admit or deny letters, or sometimes someone might be on a wait list. And then the next step is, if you receive an admit offer, you're given 2 weeks from when we send the letter out to make your decision. And the reason we can only give you 2 weeks is because we need to know if you're going to accept our offer, because if not, we've got someone else waiting to get one. And then if you're going to accept the offer, you turn in a $250 non-refundable deposit. That does go towards your fall tuition. And then we have a new student orientation in late August. If you were coming in, though, for the one-year advanced standing program or for the two-year full-time program, we have an interview prep workshop that takes place in the spring semester so that we can prepare you to go out and interview, because it is a competitive process. And then our classes start, if you're in advanced standing, they start July 2nd on a part-time basis, coming twice a week at night for those advanced standing classes. Or if you're in the regular 2 or 4 year program, classes start at August 28th. So is there anything I missed, William, that you can?
So one thing about graduate admissions, I always like to empower my students to get documents to me in the way that fits best and is most comfortable for you. So if you would prefer to email documents, feel free to do that. We can take electronic transcripts too. They can be sent to, it's on the application, but it's G as in graduate, P as in professional admissions at apu.edu. If you are a person that wants to make sure that an individual actually received it, you can email me, come by when our office is open, and just hand me all the documents. That totally works fine too. If you want to fax things, you can certainly fax them to us as well. I've gotten one application fax, just to let you know. That's certainly available as well. For the MSW app and for the MSW reference forms, you can send them to us electronically. What you have to do is you have to print it out, sign the document, scan it, and then email it to the individuals who are going to do your recommendation. And then they fill it out on, via paper and pen. They scan it, and then they can send it back to us either directly or they can send it to you. So whatever way it feels most comfortable for you as a student, just get your documents to us. For advanced standing, I would get everything in before Christmas just for your own sanity. And then for, just know that it's going to be pretty busy up until that March 1st and January 15th deadline. So the sooner you get in the documents, just the better it works for you. And then the other thing is that the applications for all the programs are open right now. So if you guys are ready to apply, you have everything ready to go, you can start submitting items today.
Just one thing about your transcripts and your letters of reference, they need to be what we call official. So if you've gone to pick up your transcript from, wherever you graduated from, or if you have some classes from another college before, like say you went to junior college and so you're getting transcripts from there too, be sure that you keep them in the envelope that you were given them in. You cannot open them. Okay. Same with your reference letters. Whoever's writing you a reference, it should seal the envelope, sign it on the back. Then they can mail it back to you or give it to you to include in your packet, but just don't open it. Okay. All right. Thank you, William. Okay. Just a little bit about financial information. So we do not charge by the semester. We charge per unit. So it doesn't matter whether you're full-time or part-time. You're not paying more to go part-time because you're in school more semesters. I know sometimes some schools work like that. It's not the case here. So this year, tuition is $713 a unit. So at a 60-unit program, that comes to a total of $42,780. Advanced standing is only 36 units, so the cost for that is $25,668. The only thing on top of that would be your books and your parking fee, and I believe parking is maybe $125 or $150 a semester, I think. We do have slight tuition increases every year, but it's nothing drastic. So I think this past year they went to, I want to say they were like $680 something last year, and you can see it went up to $713. Okay. Our students, pretty much all our students, take out Stafford loans, and a Stafford loan will provide you $20,500 a year. If you're in the advanced standing program that has some classes in the summer, you would be able to borrow extra for those classes, and then the $20,500 for the academic year. And then if you need to borrow more than that, let's say you are going full-time and you have to pay your living expenses as well. You don't have somewhere where you can have free rent, then you can take out Graduate Plus loans. And that is up to the cost of attendance. And they have a formula that figures out how much does it cost to live in Southern California. And so it would also kind of depend on your situation. Do you have dependents and things like that? So the plus loans are a slightly higher interest rate than the regular Stafford loans, and they do start accruing interest while you're in school, whereas the Stafford loans don't start accruing interest until after you've graduated. And the plus loans also, they're looking at your credit report as well. But with the federal Stafford loans, it's not impacted by your credit, or you could be making $150,000 a year and you could still qualify for federal Stafford loans. It's not dependent on how much you make. So there's just some information here. If the first thing you need to do is get a FAFSA PIN number, and probably most of you went through FAFSA applying for loans for your undergrad, so you're familiar with that process. And here is the APU school code, because you would need to enter that so that they could send your FAFSA information to our Student Financial Services. Okay. And then here is the contact information for the financial aid counselor that works with all the MSW students. Her name is Terry Franks. So if you had any questions, you could contact her. And now we're going to just talk briefly about some of our stipend opportunities. So I'm going to talk about the first one. We're very excited to get, we're in our second year of it now, a HRSA scholarship. And this is for people there's 3 different criteria that you can apply under. One is if you have demonstrated financial need. And so that would involve submitting like tax returns, or if you have been on somebody else's tax returns as a dependent in the last 3 years, you would need to submit their tax returns as well. And you can go online to our website and you can see more specifics about the financial information there. You can also apply under what's called a defined disadvantaged background. So you can, the economic disadvantage, an educational disadvantage, and an environmental disadvantage. So the education disadvantage, that means if the high school you went to is rated as a 3 or lower in its performance, then you would get a point for, and you identify that you're applying under that, you would get a point for that. If you are then saying, well, I have had some environmental disadvantages, you would identify those in your essay that you would be submitting with this. And an example of an environmental disadvantage, it might be if you grew up undocumented, for example, if you are a single parent, if you grew up in the foster system, if you went through something really traumatic, a lot of things can fall under that. And so you would just need to share that, and then we would kind of pull out how many of those, somebody might get a few points. So it's kind of the one time you want to really kind of share your stuff, because it might get you more points and might get you the scholarship, okay? So you do have to be either a green card holder or a citizen to apply for this. Unfortunately, DACA students are not eligible to apply for this federal grant. And if someone was to get this award, an advanced standing student gets up to $25,000 for the 1 year, and a full-time student could get $25,000 a year for two years, so $50,000. So it would more than pay for your tuition, and any balance would go back to you. Now, this is a federal money, and so we were awarded the stipend grant, but it is subject. We have to just check every year, are we going to get it? Is there any changes in federal policy, whether they're going to hold any of it back? So we're moving forward as if we're going to get it again next year because we've got it for the last 2 years. It's a wonderful opportunity. It has enabled quite a few students to come to our program for free. So we're very excited about this. If you have any questions about this after, you can come and talk to me. And now Virginia is going to talk about another stipend program.
Good evening. I'm very, very excited to share with you some information on our University Consortium for Children, UCCF Title 4E stipend program. Super excited that we have an alumni from last year that's going to be sharing her experience with you as well. So UCCF is a partnership. It's a collaboration of 7 universities that partner with LA County DCFS to offer child welfare stipends. The stipends are for students who are in the clinical concentration and feel passionate about working in child welfare. So the amount of the stipend is $18,500 for each year of the MSW program. So that's a total of $37,000 if you complete successfully each year. We have 6 stipends that are awarded annually. So for those students that receive the stipend, they are placed in their foundation year in a community-based organization. So this could be a foster family agency or a school-based setting where they're working with at-risk youth or transitional age youth. And then in their specialization year, students are placed with LA County Department of Children and Family Services. So they're either working in emergency response or continuing services or dependency investigation, working alongside an experienced and seasoned field instructor or children's social worker. So with the stipend, there is a 2-year payback. So you are committed to working for the county for 2 years. But again, it pays the majority of your tuition, and then there's a job waiting for you. So it's an exciting opportunity. And so next steps is I will be in the back of the room in one of the corners here. I have a sign-up sheet, so please come and see me. I'll be hosting a meeting in January and February with more details, and the applications will be due in March. Okay, so I'm really excited to talk to you more about this, so please don't hesitate to come back and sign up, and I'll keep you posted. Also, our website will be updated, and there's a PowerPoint on our website as well that's narrated that will give you more information. So thank you.
Hello, I wanted to talk about the Geriatric Social Work Education Consortium stipend. It is a stipend that is available to both community concentration and clinical concentration students in their second year of their field internship. So you would apply in the spring of your first field internship, and it's a stipend of $4,000 for the second year, and there is no payback requirement. Once you apply, anyone is welcome to apply, and the application process, applicants will be assessed by the APU faculty that are competing with students from other MSW programs in Southern California. And they will be working in the area of older adults and aging, and there are designated GSWIC sites, field internship sites that specialize in the area of older adults and aging. And so if you want more information about that, if you'd like to hear more about that, you could come talk to me. This is something that you will hear more about if you are in the program during your first year and applying for your second year field internship.
Okay, I get to talk to you about the program that has no money, but great opportunity. So here at APU, our students have the opportunity to complete a 600-hour field internship site that is specific to the requirements to obtain the Pupil Personnel Services credential. Now, this credential program is a post-MSW program, and our students are, again, you'll be within this situation where you're putting in 600 hours, you're putting in roughly 450 hours in school-based settings, and then, or working in different areas, going to SARB meetings, working with the families, say for example, working in truancy, and then another 150 hours in what we call child welfare competencies, but I can talk to you more about that after the end of the program. So you would be approximately putting in anywhere between 20 to 24 hours per week in this particular specialized setting. This is when you are in your specialization year of practice. So this is in your final year of field internship. So applicants are assessed by APU field faculty. There is a separate supplemental application that goes along with your field application at that time. And we look to match you accordingly with your desires, as well as looking at the school-based sites. Now, these school-based sites are limited. They are competitive. We do have a greater number of slots available for students in the clinical specialization, and there are a few. They're very limited and competitive for students who want this credential that are in the community leadership specialization. And then once those hours are completed, and there's this wonderful process of signing off on everything, and once you graduate, then our students are then able to apply to the post MSW PPS program at either Cal State Long Beach or UCLA. And so we have an agreement with these two institutions to have them consider your applications for admission into the post-credentialing program. And if you have more questions, I'll be in one of these corners after.
So this is just a slide to give you a little bit of information you can check out. There are a few loan forgiveness programs out there. We were actually just talking to one of our alum a few weeks ago who she is using the one in the middle here, the NHSC loan repayment program, and getting her loans forgiven. So I'm not going to go into any more of that right now, but just gives you some resources. You can check that out, that depending where you go work, you might be able to get some of your loans forgiven. So we have just a few slides here so you can kind of see our students. Every year we have the new student orientation. So this was the picture taken back in August of this year. We do have a student association, and they put on some events. They go up to Lobby Days in Sacramento every year. They have different events, so just some photos there. Every year, right before graduation, we have a banquet, and that is such a fun night. You can invite your family, and it's the real sort of, we do the hooding ceremony and have awards from our department, and it's just a wonderful evening. And so this is a picture from our hooding banquet back in May. And then just some photos from actual graduation day this past May. We also have an active alumni association, and so we had every couple of years we have an alumni gala. We had one back in May, and it's a BSW and MSW students, and we had some students that went way back that came to the event, so it was really cool. Just some data here that we have from our exit survey. When our students get ready to graduate, we want to get their feedback about the program. And so this is just some information that we kind of wanted to know. So we had 77 students graduating last May, and we got 60 responses. So 41% of them had a job offer prior to graduation. This survey was done a week before they graduated. 42% had been either asked to apply or had already been offered a job at one of their internship sites. So you can see that that internship oftentimes can lead to a job. Sometimes people, they're told they want them to apply, but there aren't going to be any openings maybe for a couple of months. So those people would fall into this category too. 27% were offered a job by their MSW internship and had already accepted it. And 80% of our students that graduated last year that completed this survey were the first in their family to attend college. These are the demographics of our student body this academic year. So all the cohorts together, You can see we have a lot of diversity in our program, which we really value. There's always a lot more females than males in social work wherever you go. So, we have a total of 195 students right now in our program between full-time, part-time, and advanced standing. So we're excited to have welcome back 2 of our alumni, and we also have a current student. And so we have Kyla Badette, who graduated this past year, and she's here with her daughter. A lot of people in our program are parents. And so if that applies to you, you can actually see it's possible, right? It's not easy, but it's possible. We also have, after Kyla speaks, Yesenia Sosa. She just graduated this past year, and she was under the UCCF stipend program that Olivia talked about. And then we have Anna Robertson, who's in the final stretch of her 4-year program, and she is a community student who is also doing a PPS internship, so she can collect those hours. So they're each going to speak for a few minutes, and then after that we'll open it up for questions.
So as she mentioned, my name is Kyla Burdett, and this is Nevaeh. So I started the Advanced Standing program last August. So it started in August 2016, and there was first it was the summer bridge program. So it was 3 weeks, Monday through Friday. So at first I was really like, oh, how am I going to get this done? I have to arrange for transportation for my daughter and try to get to school on time. But during the program, I know sometimes when you're in it, it seems like time is going by slow, but those 3 weeks flew by. So I would truly say that that was the most intense part of the Advanced Standing program. And then during those 3 weeks was when I received great news. So I was a recipient of the HRSA scholarship. So I did receive $25,000, and so my advanced standing tuition was completely paid for. So that gave me even more of a push to start this program and get it done and over with. So when the fall started, I did have to do 20 hours for my internship because it was advanced standing. So I was at a psychiatric hospital in Riverside. So I live in Moreno Valley, so I commuted here twice a week. So my internship was great. I was exposed to a lot of stuff. So the psychosocial assessments, the multidisciplinary team, doing the individual counseling slightly, but I also facilitated a lot of groups. So I had no experience facilitating groups, and then I came out of my internship facilitating groups multiple times a week without a problem. So the support that you receive from the staff is absolutely amazing. If you have any questions, you could visit them at office hours. You could meet with them after class and emails, anything like that. And then your classmates. So that's amazing because you build friendships, and throughout the program, you're completing papers together, you're staying up late together, you're having study groups. So I was extremely happy that I chose Azusa Pacific to do my master's program in. I was looking to take a year off maybe and was undecided of what I wanted to do. I knew I wanted to complete my master's in social work, but I wasn't sure where or if I wanted to go straight into it. But since I received my bachelor's from Cal State San Bernardino, I did not take a break, and I came here, and with the help of my family, the support system that I had to arrange for my daughter to be picked up from school or the after school program or whatever it was helpful. So this program is very doable. I enjoyed it so much. Like I said, my internship was the best. I was kind of trying to my undergrad was with Riverside County Department of Mental Health. So when we first started, I was trying to tell them, can I stay there? Can I stay with Riverside County? And they were like, no, we want to, get you exposed to something else. And I was so happy that I had my internship with Pacific Grove Hospital in Riverside. It was probably a 20-minute drive. So I know she said sometimes it could be 45 minutes, but I got really lucky. It was 20 minutes from my home. So my only commute was to school, and that wasn't as bad as well. So I encourage you all, if you are not sure yet, to look into it. It was a great program, and I enjoyed it so much. And now I'm at a foster family agency in Colton. So both my internships were with adults, but now I'm with children and families, and I love it. So apply if you can, and if you haven't already, sorry. Thank you.
So my name is Yesenia Sosa. I also did the advanced standing program, so Kyla went over that about how you do the 3 weeks, the bridge stuff, classes before the semester starts. So I'll focus more on my internship. I did apply for the UCCF stipend, so my whole advanced standing 1-year program was paid for also. So with DCFS, if you have any interest in child welfare, learning more about it, then I really encourage you to apply for the stipend. As an intern, you feel like you have to learn all these things, the terminology and different things that they talk about as the internship starts. But APU and DCFS really, their communication allowed me as an intern and as a student to just be a student and learn and grow and learn all about child welfare and ask all the questions that I wanted to ask. If you do apply and you are accepted, then that means that you along with the 6 other recipients or 5 other recipients, you build a seminar. So when you come to school, you have a seminar with Professor Olivas and you talk about any referrals that you may have that are really hard to read through or go visit the families. And so it's just such a huge support system here at school. And then DCFS, your field instructors really encourage you to ask so many questions from them and just be a student learner. When I first started, I was in the emergency response unit. So it's kind of scary, like going out your first day and going to families' homes, investigating child abuse. But I felt very secure and very comfortable with my field instructor. And as the time progressed, I was in emergency response for about 2 months. And then I transitioned over to dependency investigator. So I shadowed a dependency investigator social worker, and we did a lot of court reports. And as a student, you really feel like you're growing and, you're coming to get your master's, you're paying money, you're applying for all these scholarships. So you really want to take advantage of that. And as a DCFS intern, I felt like it was such a huge learning experience. And now that I graduated in May, I got hired. So I'm working for DCFS and just going through that whole internship, all the work that you put into it pays off in the end because this is your learning experience. And so now that I'm hired and I'm working for them, everything that I went through as an intern allows me to feel more confident knowing kind of like the language or doing certain things. And the APU faculty are extremely, extremely supportive and encouraging. So if you ever have any questions or you feel like you need to vent and talk to them during seminar or otherwise, they're very supportive. And DCFS, their field instructors and supervisors are extremely supportive as well. So it's a really, really, really good stipend and a really good program to be a part of. So I encourage you guys to apply also. That's it.
All right, good evening. I'm Anna Robertson, the 4th year part-time student. I did not do advanced standing. I did probably the longest way you could possibly do this. But that's been an amazing opportunity these past 4 years. Before I jump into that, I just want to reiterate how amazing this team of social workers and professors are on this wall over here. They're just so supportive, and they really give you a foundation to build your career and character on, which is amazing. But yes, I am in my 4th year. I'm a macro student, a community student. I've actually had the opportunity to do 3 internships here. My first year, I worked with David and Margaret Youth and Family Services, and that was kind of a transitional age youth foster care kind of opportunity. Currently, I'm working towards my PPSC certification, so I'm the one that gets to do 24 hours a week of internship. It's really great. But throughout the past, it's awesome. I'm always energetic. No, but through the past 4 years, I've had the opportunity to work as well as go to school. I did not get very many scholarships, but I have been able to pay off half of my tuition in cash from being able to work. So I've been working like 30 to 40 hours a week plus my internship for the past while now. So it's possible, it's doable. You have to hustle, but dreams take hustle, so let's go. You also get a lot of cheesy sayings in this, so here you go. But yeah, so I've been working for my PPSC, and then I also had the opportunity to go on our first international social work opportunity, what's it called? Study abroad. I went to Kenya with Shayna over here this past summer, and we were able to experience social work in an international setting. So we worked with a hospice center, but we also got to work with an orphanage. We got to work with slum social workers. We got to do home visits with physical therapists and doctors. It was amazing. We also got to experience healthcare through the international hospitals as well. So yeah, go 4 years, you get to go on 3 internships. What a treat. We did get school credit for that, so that was pretty great. I didn't have to take a Saturday class. I also want to just speak towards the cohort aspect of this. I have been here for 4 years now, going on 4 years, and I've had the same cohort for the past 4 years, which has been an amazing, amazing opportunity. We started the program together, and we get to graduate together. I call them my Tuesday night familia. I love them. We have like dinner, we do all the things together. But it's amazing because it's like a built-in network that you have, and we live all over the place. We live in Los Angeles, we live in San Bernardino, Riverside, like you name it. We're all over the place, but these people have been amazing the past 4 years. Multiple people, including myself, we lost our job. We've had to change places where to live and stuff, but you just come together and you say that, and all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, I know a job here, and I know a job here, and they call you, and they just have your back. So they're not only like friends, but they're also colleagues that are going to be there forever. But I could talk forever, so I'll cut it off there. I think we're doing questions later, but this is an amazing opportunity. You're going to leave the program confident. You're going to leave the program ready to be a professional, knowing how to be a social worker. I still have, 6.5 months left? I'm not counting, but but I feel ready to go. I'm ready to go out there, do crisis intervention, do the psychosocial assessments. I started this program being like, what are we assessing? What's an assessment? You're gonna know how to do those like the back of your hand by the time you're done. So really amazing program here. Have I convinced you yet? Apply, do it.
Just one thing I forgot to mention earlier, that the students that apply and get selected to go on that international summer program, the actual travel expenses are paid for by a scholarship opportunity. So that's kind of really cool. So yeah, but you can talk to Dr. Nishama about that a little bit later.